Hey everybody, how you doing today? It would be Sunday on a 3-day weekend. Have some time, so I thought I would do a live stream and hang out with you guys. Hopefully you got the notification. I see a few people do, or did. Let me just jump into it. Welcome to Break the Cycle with DSD. I'm your host, Duane. I am not an attorney, nor am I a therapist. I am just an individual much like you who's gone through a tough experience, developed some tips and techniques that I use to keep myself sane and undo some of the damage I did with my own relationships and with my kids. And I share that with you, hoping to help you do the same thing. Remember, only a licensed professional can diagnose somebody with a personality disorder, and it has to be in a medical clinical environment, not just watching videos or as we saw in the Johnny Depp case, making observations. No, so be careful with that. You don't want to ruin your credibility by squandering it. If you like what's going on here and you want to support the channel, you can do that by becoming a channel member, and you get special badges, custom emojis, your name listed in the credits, and access to member-only area of the Discord, and member-only events, which I continue to try to figure out how to implement that appropriately. If you have any ideas, let me know. If you want to get notified when I do a live like this, like some of the people did today, just text DSD Live to 844-598-0012. That's DSD Live with no hyphen, just DSD Live, one word, to the number 844-598-0012. And if you want to participate in today's show, I think I turned on the call-in thing. You can do that by dialing 1-424-373-5483 or 1-424-DSD-LIVE. If you are outside the United States, or you have long-distance calls or whatever, you can, there's a link in the video description that gives you a web interface, so you don't have to actually utilize the telephone. And on that, if I hit the right button here, hopefully you guys are doing good today. I had an interesting weekend, but I had a plan. I had a plan, and that plan was thwarted by the wind. Anyways, and I'll get into that in a moment. See a couple people here. I see DeFi Dad is here. Says, hey DSD. Hey DeFi Dad. So glad you got the notification. I don't know how many people are actually on. My little button is, oh, there it is. It's 16. An impromptu live stream without any notifications, and I still caught 16 of you. Awesome. Miami Babe says, hey guys, glad I got the notification. Glad you got the notification as well. And then DJH Record Hound says, good after morning, and happy Memorial Day to my American friends. Happy Memorial Day to you too. I thought I clicked that. I didn't. Let me do that right now. So yeah, hopefully you guys are doing okay. Hopefully everyone's got the day off. I know that's not a guarantee in the United States, but hopefully you did. I did. I took Friday off. So I'll just jump in real quick with a non-related DSD issue, but so I decided to do camping and drove up to the Mammoth Mountain area, and it was blowing. The wind was not great. Oh, Bianca, thank you so much. Thank you for the super chat. Excuse me. It says, glad to see you, Duane. Glad to see you too. Hey, you guys, just so you know, Bianca is doing her very first show today on the Father Rights Movement channel. I wonder if I can pull it up real quick. And her first guest is Bill Eddy. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with that. Am I doing this right? I always screw up when I'm trying to search on it. So if you go to Facebook, and where am I not? I tell you what, pop the link in the description if you can, in the chat, and I'll see if I can pull it up. Where is it? There it is. All right. So right here, and if you scroll on down, let's see, where is it at? Right here at 5 o'clock today, Pacific time, she will start her show and have Bill Eddy, the high conflict expert, on. If you guys are on Facebook, make sure you check that out. I'm excited to see how that goes. So, and thanks for the support, Bianca. I really appreciate that. See, I have my little switch box not in the wrong place. I just have it in a different place. I'm going to move it. Here, I'll show you guys what I'm doing. Let's see, it's there. I'm going to move this little box over here because I have it in the wrong spot and I keep trying to push it and I try to keep going to it and it's in the wrong spot. Anyways, highly professional here. Anyways, all right, let's see what else we got. Trish is on, says, hello, everyone. Lisa says, day off. Good for you. Glad you got the day off. M. Press says, morning from Australia. I am late line, my narc husband. That it is over in 13 hours. Then I'm going to a hotel to be safe. Any advice? I'm not entirely sure what you're saying, M. Press. Oh, you're telling your, ooh. So here's the thing. What I would, let me go with this. Here. M. Press says, I'm telling my husband that it's over today. Okay, guys, this is for everybody, man or woman. When a narcissistic person realizes that it's over, and this is a tough one, and it's unpredictable, right? So you don't know. I mean, you gotta gauge on, are they violent? Are they going to try to cut your finger off? And then take the appropriate actions. But at the bare minimum, what you need to expect is the second that they feel like they've lost any ability to control you anymore, they turn in an instant. And typically what happens is like you go from feeling like you have a relationship and a connection with a person to the very next second, it's like you never existed. And the smear campaigns and all the other stuff commences. And if you're not prepared for that, it will really mess with your head. Now, these people follow patterns. So you just got to be careful. It depends on the type of person you're dealing with. Like for me in my situation, the moment the ex realized that I no longer was controllable by her antics, it was over. I mean, it blew my mind that 2 decades could get erased in a moment and there was nothing, it was really weird. So Empress, I think you said, then you're going to a hotel to be safe. Good idea to have an exit strategy. What I would do is, see, because the part, it's tough. I mean, what I would like to say to you is exit strategy, have an attorney, direct all communications through that, and minimize your interaction. Now, the problem with that is that gets super expensive, and then there are times where we want to believe that this isn't as bad as it is. I think we all fall into that category, what that means is that we typically will try things, okay, let's see if this event has caused enough awareness that something will change, but you can't tell if it changes unless you stick your toe back in the water. So you just have to be incredibly careful on that. Hopefully that was helpful, and good luck, Empress. It sounds like a pretty stressful time. I know it was stressful for me. The other little caveat that I want to add onto this is once we take control, or we feel like we're taking control back of our lives, it can feel amazing. And when I finally said, okay, I'm done, it's over, I've had enough, I felt like a tremendous weight was off my shoulders. I'm like, oh, thank God. And I didn't know what I was dealing with at the time. I was kind of in the back of my mind, I was hoping that maybe this would be the catalyst for change. It definitely was a catalyst for change. Not in the way that I thought it was going to go. Anyways, my point is that I felt really almost euphoric. And then that euphoria dissipated rather rapidly when everything turned to garbage. Anyways, all right. So Demi Gaines, hey, Demi Gaines, looks like you changed your profile picture. It says, hi, Duane, happy Memorial Day to you and your family. Well, thank you so much, and happy Memorial Day to you as well. Heidi Marion says, yay, yay to you too. Tiffany celebrates, 21 months of membership. Hit that like button. Wow. That's, time is just flying by. Thank you for the continued support, Tiffany. I really appreciate it. Memprass says, I need to be able to make sure he doesn't make it my fault. Well, you can rest assured that a toxic, narcissistic person spins everything so that they are the victim and you are the perpetrator. So I would fully expect that he's going to try to do that. Again, guys and gals, this is a very common tactic, common behavior with everyone who falls into these traits. Whether it's a man or a woman, they do this. So I would fully expect that he's going to turn around and say, I tried everything. She just won't work on it. That's kind of what mine did. We went to marriage counseling. And when we finally got to the point that I'm like, okay, this is done. This is over. And it's like, well, are we still going to go to marriage counseling? And I'm like, we did, and it didn't work. So no, not right now. And the story that came out of that was that I refused to work on the marriage. All she wanted was to go to marriage counseling to work on the relationship, and I refused. He refused. Yeah, but they leave out the part to where we went to marriage counseling for a couple of months, tried to work on things. She was unwilling to do anything that the counselor recommended or suggested to try to rekindle the relationship. It was, So, but yeah, just be prepared that everything's going to get spun. Now, Empress, if I'm saying that right. And this goes for everybody. Please do not tell your ex that you figured them out. I know that you probably are NPD or borderline or whatever. Cluster B, don't do that. Keep your mouth shut. Don't say it. Think if you have any military experience, which probably a lot of you don't, but if you do, there's a thing called operational security. You probably have heard a lot of times when law enforcement or military or whatever, whenever someone says, well, what did you do in this situation? Well, it's it's method, practice and methods. If anyone knows what the actual term is, they normally say, but it's the same type of thing. You don't want to share what you know. Keep it to yourself. And I know you're going to want to. You are going to want to take your finger and just jab it right in their eye. Go boop right in their eye. And say, I know who you are. I figured you out. Don't do it. Because all that ever happens is if they listen to you enough to hear it, and then they go search on it, then they will turn around and spin everything to where you are exhibiting those behaviors. And it's just not worth it. It's and it just confuses things, and it makes things harder. When will it end? Heidi says, when will it end? I think the short version on this, or the short version, the answer on this is it ends when we change our perspective. When we understand what we're dealing with, we believe the reality of it. We make sure that we don't lose sight of that. That's why, like, if you go to my main page in my YouTube channel, and you scroll down into my very first playlist that's highlighted, which is the Mindset for Narcissistic Abuse Recovery. If you have kids, hybrid, no contact, super important. But it's absolute thinking and black hole thinking. Those two videos right there, way back when I had no beard. And come on, shrink down. And this black hole thinking, which I don't like the way that video was recorded, but it's still a good message. Those are super important. Once you understand what you're dealing with and you accept the fact, then that is when things start to change. Now, are they going to stop? No. The reality is these people, like in my situation, 10 years down the road, the same type of BS is still going on, the same games. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I'll get into that in a minute, but just on how, you have to understand what you're dealing with. And you have to accept and believe your reality. Now, the problem with that is there are going to be times where people who don't understand are going to say, well, you need to try this or you need to try that. you know, if it's been a while and you have kids and it's like, well, you know, you guys need to do this. And it's like, you know, you don't understand. I've tried that multiple times over the last, you know, 10 years, and it's the same thing. So dipping my toe back into it to think, okay, well, now maybe 10 years later, something has changed. It's setting up to put my sanity, my peace, that my hard fought and earned peace at jeopardy. You know, and so you just have to be cautious about that. We can talk about that more in a moment. Make way for the lion says, just found this channel 2 years into a custody battle and just cleared of false DV accusations last Friday. Outstanding. Make way for the lion. Sorry you just found me now, but it sounds like you did a pretty good job. I mean, 2 years is a long time, but you know, going through the, what do you call it? Going through the pandemic probably didn't help. But I raise my glass to you, good sir. And I also just want to say, typically, when you're dealing with a toxic person, they will gravitate towards DV claims. Because in the past, it was a surefire way to achieve victory for them. You know, and there's zero consequences for doing it. What I've noticed since starting this channel 5 years ago? 6? Oh my God, is it 6 years? Holy cow. I think I might have come up on the 6-year anniversary of the channel. In the 6 years of doing this channel, I have seen temporary restraining orders most of the time turned, you know, basically erased. Either they drop them, or once it finally gets a hearing or trial, it goes away. Now, make way for the lion. Was it a hearing? Did they settle on it, or did you go to trial? If you don't mind me asking, I would love to get some more clarity on that. And the takeaway on that, guys, if you are in that scenario and you're feeling like your whole world has been flipped upside down, just be careful. Do not just accept defeat out of the hands of victory, right? Stick with it. You know, it's so easy to get wrapped up into this stuff and just feel like you're going to lose and everything's going to turn to crap, and you give up, and then you make it a self-fulfilling prophecy. That is what they want you to do. Don't fall for that. Let's see. My baby says, can anyone find the channels I subscribe to by knowing my YouTube name? Can anyone find... only if you only if you make them public. And there's a setting in YouTube to where you can undo that. So only if you have it public. And if you are worried about that, make sure they're not public. Hold on, how do I undo this? All right, let's see here. I don't have a safe. Okay, I'm not entirely sure what you're saying there. Heidi, if you could add a little bit more clarity on what you're talking about with the safe phone. I don't have a safe phone. Oh, you don't have, okay, duh. And here I am reading it, highlighting it. Okay. Oh yeah, you know what? That reminds me, guys. You can create another YouTube channel that has a different name, right? So if you have your personal channel that is, you know, Bill Smith, and you're Bill Smith, in these scenarios, you probably don't want to, you probably don't want to go around like that. Create another YouTube channel. I have multiple. I have my personal one. I have this DSD one. I have my camping one. I think I have another one on top of that I don't, a tech channel, and I don't really make videos on anymore. But, I mean, so like right now when I'm on my DSD channel, it's just DSD. Unless I did something silly, like subscribe to my personal channel from the DSD channel, they're not really linked. So, be careful about that and make sure that you don't dox yourself in some ways. Oh, been following me for a year. I appreciate it. Oh man, Pepe, marriage counseling is an indicator of a pending divorce, isn't it? You know what's really funny about that, Pepe? When I started marriage counseling, I was hopeful that, man, this is going to be the catalyst to strengthen this relationship, to make communications better. And we'll look back on this little road bump, and it will be one of those things we'll laugh at that ultimately made our marriage and our lives better. And then the reality is, like Pepe said, it was an indicator that things were on fire and getting ready to blow apart at the seams. So, but what I will say is two things. First thing I'll say is it was a catalyst for my life getting better, just not in the way that I anticipated. Just like it is probably the same thing that's going to happen with you. I've heard that from a lot of people that this experience, although the worst experience they've ever experienced, ultimately was the best because of it forcing the issue. The other thing I'll say is a lot of people say, see, I have a tough problem with this, or a tough time with this one. A lot of people say, never go to marriage counseling with a narcissistic person. And that's true, right? I mean, it's completely pointless and you're never going to achieve anything. And it does set you up for getting, because typically these people are very good at manipulating and convincing other people of their truth, so to speak. And as a result, you can sometimes get in a situation where the therapist will gang up on you. But if most people, when they're in this situation, they still love the person, they're still in love with the person, they're still longing for that illusion of what the love bombing and the mirroring was way in the early days of the relationship. And it's not easy for someone to just wake up one day and say, you know what? This person, like in my situation, and this is what I fell into. I couldn't, at 21 years, wake up one day and say, okay, I'm sick of this. I can't deal with this anymore, and just walk away. Would that have been the best scenario for me? Absolutely. However, emotionally, I was not ready for that. And I would have always felt guilt had I not tried to fix the relationship or do my due diligence. And I hate it when people say that. I hate that due diligence phrase, but I needed to go through that to at least say, okay, I tried. And I think a lot of people lose sight that a lot of people are like that. Now, what you have to be careful of is if you say, okay, I have to try, that you understand that if you do not see any changes or any olive branches or anything that demonstrates to you that they are willing to actually try to change, that's your answer. And you have to keep bringing it back around to that. And I guess technically that's kind of what happened with me. I mean, it wasn't the situation where the therapist was like, now, Duane, you're the scumbag in this relationship, and you're the one doing this and this and this, and you need to do better. And your little butterfly over here is, just, there's nothing wrong there, right? It's got to be, if you're feeling like that situation is happening, then that's your answer, if that makes sense. And I just say that because a lot of people, a lot of narcissistic abuse recovery channels will tell you never, ever, ever do counseling with a narcissist. And the piece that they miss is that part. That how do you reconcile in your own mind that it's time to do it? Now, I would love for you to be able to watch all these videos, get all this information, and have that question answered so you've already answered it before you get to that. I got a thumbs down. Was that because I'm saying you can use a therapist? Let me know. I want to know why. Anyways, so it's one of those things that's really tough. Pepe says, never show your cards, and commenting on the OPSEC thing. Absolutely. Apartment. It's going to, honestly, you can, Empath says, how do I communicate with him about moving out and giving him a time frame. We live in an apartment my mom owns. Now, here's the problem. If you guys are both on the lease, then he has every right. He has the same rights that you have on the place. So, you know, if you can say, hey, I want you to move out, and he moves out, great. If you do in a situation where he's like, hey, I'm paying for this place too, you know, it doesn't matter that your mom owns it, then you have more of a legal situation. So worst case scenario, check with the lawyer to find out what the actual technical issues are. And then you can build a thing from that. I mean, your best case scenario is he just accepts it and moves out. Hopefully that's your scenario. But if you have, I don't know if you have children or stuff like that, so it can get complicated real quick. So, all right, let me look around. Oh, hey, Sai says, hello, everybody. God bless you. And a special thanks to those who served to protect the United States. Thank you so much for that. And glad to see you. Lion of Judah and Lamb of God says, Jesus healed me from a lot from the narcissistic abuse. You know, there are a lot of ways. Okay, how am I going to say this? Be open-minded when you're at these dark days, that the solution that helps get you through it might be something that you never thought about before. Now, that was the case for me. I didn't really turn to religion. I have my own personal issues that I had growing up with religion. So, but, you know, whatever helps get you to the other side of this, I think is important to try. So good for you, man. I'm glad that worked, and I'm glad it delivered you from that, because there are some people who do not make it to the other side of this, or they just stay in the nightmare. Mommy Babe says, hybrid no contact save us a lot of heartache. I'm glad that worked out for you. Let's see. Now here it's going to come into the problem where I'm not entirely sure where we're at in the conversation and what people are commenting on. Pepe the Nut says, silver bullet. That's what we were talking about before. Lisa says, no contact is my best advice. 20 years going on 5 years, no contact. You know, I tell you, I was thinking about this the other day. I think I have not blocked my ex on anything. I think she has me blocked on Facebook. Well, that's not true. Okay, to be honest, well, trying to remember how I did it. This channel and the stuff associated with DSD, I've absolutely blocked everybody because I don't want them to see that. Personally, I haven't blocked anything. I think once the kids are all adults, which is another, couple years, and every family court's over, I think I'm seriously considering severing and deleting every method of communication, because at that stage, there is no reason for it in my mind. But I still have a couple of years of that, so we shall see. I agree with you on this. Lion of Judah says they have demons in them, no joke. I would say I agree. I mean, okay, technically, I agree with that. But I also, if I take a step back, I think it's these people get stuck at a certain age from whatever trauma happened with them, and we're all dealing with somebody who's about 9 or 10 years old, depending. Imagine if any of us have kids, and I'm depending on what the ages they are, if you have a child that's either at that age group or, they're older, so you've experienced that time. And now imagine if that child was 47 years old, an adult, and looked at like a rational adult human being, and given all the protections of that, but you're dealing with somebody with a mentality that is not. And that just creates a huge amount of problems. Oh man. Adam Hamilton says, family court, the only court where you are guilty until proven innocent. Man, that is so true. I remember walking in and it's like, well, Mr. Duane wants to be involved in the kid's life, and that's great. But let's let him jump through some hoops and prove that he's actually not this monster, because we got to protect the children. So yeah, it's really tough. It's not. It's not a good thing. So Trish says, our kids from a previous marriage, going no contact after the Hoover was the best thing I did. My life is peaceful. And right there, it is really critically important that we find our peace and we value that peace and we do not squander it, give it away, or just, let it go. Do not do that. Let's see. Hold on. Somebody said that the ex is still on their phone. Guys, if you have, let me just pause for a moment on this. If you have a phone or a device that's on the same plan, you need to get that off. If you have something that's on the same family sharing plan, like with iTunes or the Apple stuff, you need to undo that. Because if that person, there's a lot of ways to add, extra protections and stuff. It's not as easy as it was in the past, but you want to make sure that that person does not, change your passwords, right? You want to make sure that they don't have access to your email. You want to make sure that they don't have access to your messages or your iMessages or your, whatever. You want and deserve your privacy. So you have to be careful of that. Lion asks, what is DV? That would be domestic violence. Someone else had already answered you on that, which is also typically called the silver bullet. Okay, sorry. All right, Pepe said, should I send my ex's new husband clips of Amber Heard with the title, "You're Next"? No, that's funny, but no, you shouldn't do that. Don't do that. Therapist there threw him out. Okay, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what that meant. All right, let's see. Now I'm trying to scroll through while I'm scrolling through the comments and looking at stuff. If you, that didn't work. Let's see, how do I go back? There we go. If you want to call into the show, you can do that by dialing 1-424-373-5483. I could bring you on live. Let's see. Empress says, I'm now at the position to end it, but I had to give marriage counseling a try first. Like I said, that's exactly the same thing that I had to do. Hey, Debbie jumped in. Debbie would be my girlfriend, if you guys don't know, and also is a moderator sometimes. Trish says, we went to a therapist. He walked out on the second session. He said he was being attacked by the therapist. That didn't happen. It proves how a narcissist thinking is so warped. Oh, they're in their own version of reality. I think a good example of that is the trial, the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. That has been, just insane. The other thing I would just say on that is it's been really, to see the evidence, and then how she's like, well, that didn't happen. That's not what happened. They lied. Or she didn't ever call anybody a liar, but she's like, well, that's not the way I remember. It's always something. It's always something. Okay, we do have a caller coming in, so I'll grab that in here in a second. I would agree with this. DJ H, Record Hound, says your leaning post could be your spirituality. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I'm going to scroll through the rest of this for a moment. Oh, if you guys have a question for me in the chat, make sure that you put either the word question or a Q in it so that it's more obvious that it's a question as opposed to just comments amongst other people. Let's see. I'm trying to get current. Oh, okay. It looks like I'm current. So I'm going to attempt to push the button for the next caller. I don't know if this is going to work. Let's try it. And it didn't work. Hello, welcome to the show. Hopefully this is working.
Hey, Duane.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah. Yes, I can. Sorry.
Hey, it's AJ. We've talked before, and I've commented a few times. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. Hey, so I had a question. So first of all, a little bit over a month post-divorce, just healing, getting better. One of the questions that I had, wanted to know if this is considered triangulation. So, we're, came from a family of faith, but apparently we go to two different churches now. My daughter hates going to church with her mom. She's been kind of hopping around. I've stayed at the same church. So she's about ready to start driving probably by the end of the year. And she's, expressed that she really just hates going with her. And I said, well, you're going to be more independent. You're going to be driving soon. You might want to consider asking your mom when that time comes if you could just drive yourself to church. And if you wanted to go to my church, then you should do that. I don't know. Do you think that that's triangulation?
How old is she? 16, 17?
She is, she's 14. She's going to get her license at 15. So at the end of the year.
I would be very careful of that because man. So both of you and your ex are both active in churches, and your ex is trying to find a new church, right? Is that what you're saying? So church is important to both of you?
Yeah, I mean, we both loved our church, but with the divorce, she left because she wasn't happy with the way that
they were supporting you.
I guess supporting me, and they weren't really, she accused me of abuse, which isn't true. And so she kind of felt like that the patriarchy was kind of like in play with the church and accused them of church abuse. And so she's left, and she's just trying to find a church that kind of aligns with her values.
Man, that is borderline dangerous, right? I mean, obviously, if your daughter is like, hey, I don't like that, mom keeps going to different churches. I like this other church, that I grew up with and that I go to when I'm with you, Dad, and I want to continue to go to this. That's a tough one, man, because it's actually kind of funny because I had a similar situation. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not a big church person. I had some bad experiences with churches when I was growing up. And my ex always was like, oh, I want to go to church. And if I could find a church that I respected, maybe that would have been okay, but whatever. As soon as the divorce happened, boom, she ran to church, and that was a wedge issue she was trying to use with the kids. Well, the kids want to go to church, so, will you let them go? And and I basically, if I remember correctly, this is before I knew what I was dealing with, I said, no, wait, no, you're not interrupting my time. And this isn't necessarily what you're talking about. This is what I would recommend. Instead of just kind of talking around in circles, this is what I would say. I wouldn't push the issue with your daughter, right? If she's saying to you, hey, I don't like this going, I don't like the church my mom's going to, then you just basically like, well, you need to talk to your mom about that. Or you can, if you want to dip your toe into that realm, and you could use hybrid no contact type techniques to do that, but you could, reach out to the ex. I would recommend via email, say, hi pumpkin, little Susie has expressed an interest in wanting to continue to go to church. I would be happy to take her on on your days to the church, or, she could drive herself or whatever. And I mean, it's going to blow up in your face, but that's one way to deal with it. Otherwise, I would just kind of back off on it and just kind of see how it plays out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I've told her, like, I can't fight this battle for you, but if that's what you really want, then, that's up to you if you want to pursue that. I mean, she even asked
Okay.
me, well, that actually sounds like a great idea, Dad. Do you think I could bring my little brother and sister with me? I'm like, oh boy, that's a whole nother story. And I'm definitely not going to fight that battle for you. So
See,
I kind of left it in her court.
And I hate to say it, but that's really, that's the best course of action on this. And what you just said is a scenario that I did have, not with church, but I had some situations where my kids were like, hey, I want to do this. And I'm like, okay. So I reached out to the ex. And I'm like, hey, the kids want to do this. And, her response was, well, thank you for your interest in national defense, but the answer is no. So anybody who knows me knows that joke. But anyways, the answer was always no. And what I ended up having to do in my situation is I told the kids, look, I'm tired of reaching out to your mom to try to get something to happen for you then to back off and say it's not important enough and you changed your mind. But then I'm the one who had to sit there and take the beating on it. And I finally was like, look, if you want to do something, you need to talk to your mom and make it happen, which meant nothing ever happened, but it did change the dynamic. So, I mean, I think there's a piece to that. You just got to be really careful that you're not, that you're not basically using it as a wedge issue and then basically weaponizing the kids and kind of tacitly endorsing it, saying, well, guys, of course I would love, which you would, right? I mean, you would absolutely love your kids to have a consistent thing, have to be able to go to all the services and then be able to more participate in the events. I mean, it sounds like it's a pretty good church, so they probably have events for kids and stuff like that. The reality is in our situations, we don't necessarily have that. I wouldn't push it because what you don't want to have happen later is your kids basically say, well, wait a minute, Dad, you pushed this and this isn't really what we wanted, or you took advantage of, a lot of times these things can be flipped around and used against you. So you just got to be really careful. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I've been trying to learn to, tell my kids, this is something that you got to do. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I reached out to the ex because of trying to work out our summer calendar. And I let her know, hey, the kids want to go to my church's youth camp. They fall on your days.
Right.
And then I didn't say, I didn't tell her you got to let them go, but her response was, no, they're my days. I'm not going to let them go. And the funny thing was is that she used to be a counselor at these camps, so she's well familiar with the way it works. She's just very bitter against the church now and doesn't want them to go. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and the reality is it's her time. She can do whatever she wants. Now, you probably heard me in video talk way back when my youngest was wanting to play soccer. It was really weird because, my ex in my situation, she didn't work. She had all the time in the world. I mean, this was hers to lose, right? I mean, or whatever. I mean, she should have won everything. She had the advantage completely. And my youngest wanted to play soccer, and I'm like, okay, I double checked. I'm like, hey, can I sign my kid up for soccer? And if they only go half the time, is that okay? And they said, yeah, it's okay. So when I said, hey, Pumpkin, I signed little Susie up for soccer. These are the days, you can take them, whatever. And, the response I got back is, you're committing a crime. You had no right to do that. You're going to jail, all that crap. And it's just to work around it, right? I mean, and it was like 3 years later, she finally started to show up. And that was bizarre, right? She'd show up and like, oh, sit right here, that type of thing. So my point is this, it goes to that black hole. Let me see if I can pull this up for the people watching. That second video in that thing, or no, the third video, why is black hole thinking important? The reality is when they are with the other parent for their time, they can do whatever they want. They can, if they are, you could try like you tried. And my guess is what's going to happen with you is you've tried a few times. And after a while, you're just going to be like, okay, I'm tired of hearing the no, and I'm just not going to do it anymore and stop and just, work around it. So, that's your best, your best course of action on that.
With that summer camp issue. Yeah. With that summer camp issue, I asked once and didn't bring it up again. And, just kind of left it up to the kids and just says, well, if you really want to go, you work out with your mom. But I tried.
I'll throw this out there. the first few years I had to pay for summer camp for the kids. And if you paid for the whole week. So I paid for the whole week, and there were so from my weeks, it was 2 or 3 days. And, so they there were times they did not even show up, and I still had to dump the money on the ground for it. They missed out all the trips.
Oh, boy.
It's, hey, there's this trip here. Oh, it's on Mom's Day. And, oh no, they can't. I remember one. This is what's prompted that whole. If you want to do something, you need to get your mom to, be okay with it. It was some trip. They were going not to the zoo, but they were going to like someplace down in Los Angeles, some hour and a half, 2 hours from LA. And so youngest was like, oh, I want to do this. Emailed mommy, hey, little Susie wants to go. What's this? Are we good with this? She literally replied to me at 1:00 in the morning, the day of, oh, thank you for your interest, but no, we have other plans, basically no. And I'm like, are you effing kidding me? And waited until, so it was like at 1:00 in the morning, but bing, that's when I got the notification. It was all done for effect. And when I talked to my youngest later, I'm like, hey, what did you guys go do? Oh, and it was like, oh, we went to the library. And I'm like, what? And that's why I told him. That's what I told him. I said, look, hey, if you want to do something, you need to express, because what happened is then mommy went to little Susie, and little Susie, do you really want to go to that? Or do you want to go spend time with me at the light, whatever. And it was, of course I don't want to do that. And then the answer back was, well, I'm not going to force my child to do anything that they don't want to do. That's where I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I understand the caution. Like, for example, I was asking the ex to swap days so I could do my 7-day, decreed vacation with the kids, but I wasn't upfront just yet about where we were going, because we were going to visit some old friends that she was no longer friends with. Yeah, she was no longer friends with them, and so I was just afraid she was just going to say, nope, not going to give you those days because of where you're going. But luckily she agreed, and then I sent her our flight itinerary, and that was that.
No, that's cool.
Change it after that point.
Oh, but I'm sure. Have you done this trip yet, or this is what's coming up?
It's coming up.
So let me just throw this out here, just so you're aware and you're prepared, and hopefully it doesn't happen. But this is how it typically plays out. If you share what you're going to do before you do it, the ex will somehow ruin it, right? So, and that happens in a couple of different ways. Yeah. If it's something that they can replicate. In your scenario, it's not. But let's say you're going to, some amusement park. Well, then right before you do it, they're going to take them to it. That happens a lot. The second thing is if they can't do that, then what they do is they start talking bad about the scenario before, so that the kids are not happy about it before you go. Then the last thing, and typically what happens is you learn that you have to shut up because they're going to ruin it. And then what happens is you do something, you guys have a great time, the kids are happy, you're happy, they go back to the other parent, and then the next time they come back to you, they now hate the whole scenario and it was horrible, and and they don't, and it's ruined. So you got to prepare yourself for that.
Yeah, it's tricky because I'm sure in most people's divorce decree it required. I'm taking them out of state, so I definitely have to tell her. I'm required to tell her itinerary, where we're staying. Right. Maybe not necessarily activities, but I have to be upfront about it. I was just trying to make sure that she wasn't going to try and bury it before I could even. Plan it. And the reality is that these people have a unique ability to try to. Up until you have the kids in your physical possession. So, and I'll throw this out for you and for anyone else. If you have a trip that you're planning and you're like, okay, we're going to fly out on Monday, and I get the kids at noon on Monday, and we're going to fly out at 6, you're a bonehead if you do not anticipate the blown out tire, we got stranded someplace, something will happen to where they show up late. You just need to anticipate it, and just be prepared for it, because this type of chicanery happens all the time. So, no, it sounds like you're doing good, man. You're asking the right questions. You're being cautious. You're concerned about, are you overstepping bounds and stuff like that. And that's a good sign, because you're thinking about what's going on, and you're trying to okay, am I making the right call? Am I doing the right thing? Is there a better way I could do it?
And I mean, that's a pretty good indication that you're the good guy on this thing. So, all righty, man.
Well, yeah, hopefully I am. But all right, thanks, Duane. Appreciate it.
Thanks for calling. And let's see, will my button work this time? And it did not. Man, I thought I fixed that. I guess I am not doing well on my technology. Oh well. Okay. I did see a couple of questions. Let me scroll down to see if anyone. Oh wow, I went all the way to the top. That was problematic. Holy cow. Shenanigans. That's funny. All right. So, Kate says it's not enough to just understand karma will equalize things. As a parent, you have one job and one childhood. Man, that is so true. That's the sad part about this is that our kids really don't get to just be kids anymore. And the best we can try to do is to try to insulate them as much as possible, which we can't be 100% in that. There's always an impact. So you can't completely undo it. But anyways, all right. I am going to sort off of. Okay, Empress says, hi, Debbie and everyone. Can I please get the do's and don'ts when telling narc husband he needs to move out? I wish we could all check our egos at the door and talk reasonably. Your best course of action on that is you're going to have to sit down and have that conversation and say, hey, it's over. I want, or file for divorce, or tell them that it's coming. And you just got to brace for impact. What I will tell you is okay. I don't necessarily think you need to just run off half cocked, but I have this one friend of mine who has been trying to, divorce his spouse or his wife for, God, what is it? 4 years, 5 years? I mean, they've been moved out and everything, and he just kept putting it off, finally filed. And, it's just like, you got to just start the process. Get the information you need, consult with an attorney, understand the rules, understand how the process is going to work, and then just start moving through it. If you're lucky, they'll move out. Now, a flip side, I'll say this, is if you have a custody issue and you have children and the person says, hey, you need to move out, the kids are staying with me and you need to find another place to live, you got to really be careful of that, because as soon as you do, or as soon as that happens, well, now you're at a custody disadvantage, and now you're trying to crawl back. You guys, anybody who's been a longtime viewer of the channel knows the story of our contributor or not contributor, but member who is in New York, who that's what his ex or his wife was trying to get him to do, was to move out. He was a primary caregiver, and he didn't until the date was final. So he wasn't at the disadvantage of trying to fight for more custody because he was physically there. That gives you an advantage monetarily, possession and all that kind of stuff. Now, the risk is if you're dealing with somebody if you're dealing with somebody who is probably high borderline type characteristic traits, you're probably going to end up in jail with a domestic violence charge. So just, you got to understand the situation you're in and be very cautious, deliberate, aware. Anyways, hopefully that helps, Empress. Let me know if it did. Jerry had a question. Jerry says, when did you realize these problems your ex had? Was it a sudden shock discovery? When did you realize you were suffering from trauma? Okay. So that's a multifaceted question with a multifaceted answer. Looking back, I can see that there were a bunch of times where I realized there were problems. However, when I was in the middle of it, I always made excuses for it. I rationalized it. I just, I would have a moment, I would get through it, and then I would go back into the not love bombing scenario, but more of, well, I'm just angry about this situation, or I'm upset about this particular scenario, so I'm just mad right now, but I don't normally feel like that. And I'd wait a couple days and I would push that out of my head, and then it would reset the clock, which is why it took me 21 years to get to the point where I realized if I didn't get out of this relationship, I was going to die. So I finally decided that I deserved an opportunity to not live in this constant state of chaos. So it took me a long time. Was it a sudden shock discovery? I would say when the realization that things were not the way I anticipated. And there was a conversation we had one day, an argument. I can't remember what it was. And the ex said to me, you just don't know who I am. And I was like, she said that. And I was like, oh my God, I don't. And I had this epiphany where I'm like, holy crap, I've had this illusion of who she is. And that's not who she is. She's this other person. And initially I was in shock. Then I was like, okay, well now may I understand her more. So now I know a way to make this relationship, I can try to make this relationship work. And then it just went downhill from there. And then as soon as she realized that, oh crap, I can't control him anymore. I can't dangle the carrot and get him back on track, which and to be perfectly honest, 21 years and I did the same behavior. She was doing the same. We played the same game for 2 decades. Why the hell wouldn't she think that at some point I would just conform back to who I always was? The difference was I was at my wit's end, and I just couldn't do it anymore. Okay, so we're talking about that about 10 years, 11 years ago, right? And you're asking the other part of this question, Jerry, was when did you realize you were suffering from trauma? And I would say I didn't realize that for a few more years. To be honest, I think even Debbie and I were dating, and then that reality came crashing down. And those were probably some of the darkest times of my life, to be honest. That was when I realized that I was suffering from trauma. And thank God I had procured, a trauma therapist who was well-versed in this and was able to help guide me through that process. So I was very fortunate on that. All right. I'm not going to comment on that one. Let's see. I'm just trying to... Thanks, Dan. Dan says, Duane, happy Memorial Day. Thank you for your service. Oh, thanks so much, man. Appreciate that. I did spend some time, almost 8 years, in the United States Air Force. That was a fun experience. Got to travel around the world. Spent 3 years living in Spain, which was pretty cool. But and I still do work with the military, which is fun. Whoops, I see another question. I'm trying to... Make the way for the lion says, question, any advice for a custody investigator where the investigator seems to be siding with me after the first interview? Do not overshare. Be very careful how you present yourself, because these people are professionals. They're going to try different techniques to see who you really are. And I've known too many people who have said, oh, I met with the investigator, or I met with the custody evaluator, or I met with CAFCAS, or I've met with, whatever situation. And I think they're getting it, and they overshare, they give out too much information, and then it ultimately hurts them. So just be careful. Be very deliberate in your communications. If you have not seen my interview, let me pull this up. If you go to the main page under expert interviews, you scroll over. I would click on it, but I'm afraid it might play. This one right here, interview with Cordell & Cordell Law Firm. He had a lot of really good information on how to present your case on your concerns, right? So you don't want to go in and say, my ex is batshit crazy. You don't want to do that. You don't want to go in and say, I'm dealing with a 5-year-old. I think I did that one. You don't want to do that. You want to say, hey, I'm concerned about these patterns of behavior. I'm concerned about the decision making and what's happening. And hopefully it's just the stress. And, I know stress makes people very, do strange things, but I'm really worried about this behavior. Oops, let me go this way. This behavior, and how it affects the best interest of our child. And those are the things I'm concerned with, right? And that you just got to be careful how you present that. So good luck with the custody investigation, which I'm assuming you're talking about in California, it's like a 703 custody evaluation. Oh man, it's been a while. So just be cautious on how you deal with that. All right, let's see. Oh, you know what? Since I'm not, hey, Debbie, are you trying to use the notes thing we used to use before and I'm not aware of it? I'll see if I can pull it up. So we have this thing where, actually it does appear. It does appear. See, I set up these cool things to help this whole process work better, and then I forget about it. So we have, Apple has these great integration tools, which are great in our situation like this. It's not great if you have a toxic ex who has access to them, because then they can look at a lot of your stuff. All right, so let me see if I can find that. Search. Miami Babe says, DSD, how do you deal with fully alienated kids only contact us when they want something? Oh, I had that experience. What I would say is, okay, so this can come out in a bunch of different ways, and I'll just say it this way, and you let me know if this ties in with that. My kids would not call, when they were with mommy in the early days, they would not reach out to me at all. If I text them, they would not respond. And they would not reach out to me just on a whim when they were with mommy. However, the second they walked in the door, they were clicking, they were thumbs, texting mom every day, all day, every night, all night. And I had my middle daughter at one point, like maybe 10, 11, can't remember what age. And it was like, I finally got a message, hey, Dad. I'm like, oh, wow. I'm like, oh, my God. One of my kids reached out to me during, it might even been before it was 50-50. It might have been like early on. Holy crap, we have 70 people online? Well, thanks, everybody. I mean, I know I know where some of the Johnny Depp live streams, 71 people is, if it was 71,000, but I appreciate that. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I digress. Sorry about that, Miami Babe. Okay, so back on the topic. Middle daughter reached out to me. Hey, Dad. I'm like, oh, wow. Hey, how's it going? Hey, I want this. Can I buy this, or would you buy this for me? And I'm like, and I can't remember. I think it was, they were coming back to me in a day or two. So I had a conversation. I said, hey, you know what? Great that you tried to reach out to me. But I am not Bank of Dad. And I'm not going to, you're not going to just never talk to me. And then basically whenever you want something, ask me to pay for it. So I would be, I'd be very cautious on that. I understand, Miami Babe, whenever you're saying fully alienated kids, whenever you're not hearing from them at all. In that scenario, what I would say is depending on what it is, if it's something small and it's opening the door for communications, you could entertain the idea, because right now with an alienated kid, you're just trying to establish communication. So like in my situation, I knew that it was it was one of those things where I was going to see, I still had this reoccurring schedule, and I wasn't necessarily worried that if I said the wrong thing that she was going to never talk to me again. So, there is some context on it, but you just have to be careful, because it really sucks whenever you feel like you're being used, or you feel like you Well, yeah, are being used. I guess that's the best way. That's the best way to put it. So I distracted myself by looking at the comments. So I apologize for that. Let's see. Oh, so I'm trying to, let me see if Debbie has any other. Oh, well, now you're, okay. So I don't know. Oh, darn. So I don't know what's new in our little live show thing. So there's a lot of stuff. Oh, crud. Okay. So I am now confused. Darn a luck. Oh, well. So while I'm doing that, let me do this, and I can pull this back up. If anyone wants to call into the show, you can call in at 1-424-373-5483 or 1-424-DSD-LIVE. All right. Hit the like button. Thanks, John. I appreciate that. I see John says hit the like button, as does Trish. Hit the like button, everyone. Absolutely. It helps. It looked like I had like a surge of people. Maybe YouTube recommended it, and there's a bunch of people that came in, and then they all left. Right after I recognized it, they're like, peace out, I'm done. All right, if anybody has a question they want me to answer, they don't want to call in, just put question, the word question or Q at the beginning of the thing. Tag me actually helps too if you do at DSD, because it highlights it, and I can hit your questions. Or you can always do super chats. If you've been on other live streams, I'm sure you know how that works. So, okay, now everything's being. Oh, right, I didn't. Okay, I'm seeing stuff pop up. I didn't have anything else. Okay, all right, cool. All righty then. Man, it's getting hot in here. I should have turned my air conditioner on. Oh, thanks, Kate. Amazing camera quality and lighting with great sound quality. Again, DSD off topic. Thank you so much for that. I geek out on the technology stuff, so I appreciate you noticing, because I put a lot of effort. My little whiny voice there. A lot of effort into trying to make this as good as possible, and. Sometimes I wonder if that was not exactly the best utilization of the resources. Okay. All right. Oh, we got another call coming in, so I'll grab that in a moment. Oh, yeah. And if I'm missing something and I'm not seeing it, you guys can also tag Debbie, and she can try to get that to me. I wonder, I see I got my stuff muted. Muted? No, not muted. What do they call it? Do not disturb turned on is what I mean. Impress says, when are you live next? I am not sure. I am still trying to figure out operational tempo or battle rhythm on that, and I have not done a very good job of that. All right, we have another caller. I'm going to go to that, and I'm going to try to do that, hitting the button, which appears as though it did not work again. So, hello and welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going?
It's going okay. How's it going with you?
Pretty good. Yeah, it's going okay. 2 years out, and I'm doing pretty good. I've got a question for you.
Sure.
So I've got a 13-year-old and a almost 15-year-old, and they moved to another state with their mom. And one of the big things for the guardian at Lottom, lovely person, was that the kids wanted to stay with mom because she'd brainwashed them and all that kind of stuff. So now they're getting older. When would be a good time to start to tell them, like, hey, you can kind of pick who you want to live with?
Well, okay, so they're already out of state, so your custody has already changed, right? So yeah. What do you have? What's your custody arrangement right now?
We got 50-50 custody, but they get to live with their mom.
So when do you get to see him?
I get summers and spring break and every other Christmas.
So here, okay. So here's my worry about that, right? If you, okay, let me ask you this. So you're throwing that out there. Are you thinking that they would change their mind and they'd want to live full time with you and go to school from your place? Are you thinking that they're just never going to come see you again? What do you?
Yeah. No. I'm not worried about them not seeing me. I think we have a fairly good relationship. The daughter was just diagnosed with depression. She got put on medication. The son, he's having a lot of issues with school. So they're reaching the at least I'm hopeful that they're reaching the fed up level.
Well, see the problem here's
I'm not.
This is my So this is my worry about that. I understand where you're at, right? So you're thinking, okay, and I get. Let's just say face value. Let's say, okay, they're with their mom most of the time. It's obviously not working well. We got all these issues that you're seeing, and if the kid said, "Hey, Dad, you know what? We'd like to live. We lived with Mom for a while. Now we want to live with you." Then pushing that button, you could do it. The problem is a lot of times kids tell us what they think we want to hear. And when push comes to shove,
okay. Right. Yeah. I'm well prepared for them to say, yeah, totally. And then, a week later they change their mind. Yeah.
But see, my worry about it is are you going, would your ex agree to it if the kid said, hey, Mom, we want to live with Dad. We want to go to school there, or
no. I'd have to
go to court.
Take her to court again.
Yeah. See, the thing is so here's the deal. I mean, if the kids start saying that to you, then fine. I would say, sit down with them and say, look, here's the deal. You guys are saying this. Are you super serious about this? Because this isn't casual. This is going to be, this is going to be like, it's going to be like going to war. You said what, 13 and 15. So their voice should have some, should have some weight, not necessarily completely. And then you do, actually what I would say, if that's the situation, you have one conversation with the ex saying, hey, hey, Cindy, the kids have said they wanted to live, want to live with me full time. What are your thoughts on that? And if she says yes, no, or whatever, or if she says yes, great. If she says no, then say, hey, look, this is really serious. I'm going to take you to court, and then kind of go down that road. Or you could just ambush her. And then if you did it the other way, then if you had an opportunity where so once they see, here's the problem. And I've seen this happen to a couple of people is the kids say that, right? The kids are like, hey, this is bad with Mom. We don't like the stress anymore. It's terrible. Right. And they're like, okay, they're ready to go to war. Kids go back to Mom. Then they come back. And now they hate you because, they hate Dad because, you're trying to take me from Mommy and everything like that. Yeah. So you got to be careful. And I've seen that happen to people.
She's already tried that. Yeah. She's already tried that. It didn't stick. I was very happy that it didn't.
That's awesome because normally it does. I have a friend of mine right now who's really having a problem with that.
I know. Yeah. I did dodge that bullet like nothing else before. But I'm not sure that the kids know that that's even a possibility. That their voices may have some weight that they may be able to
Man, you just got to be really careful.
I'm worried.
See, I'll tell you, my kids, all of them were somehow convinced that I was telling them, you can pick where you want to live. You can pick. And I was like, I don't recall saying that. And it's amazing how these people have the ability to spin things. I had that happen with my youngest last year when I was talking about that situation a week or so ago. She said the same thing to me. She's like, well, you said we could live wherever. And I'm deciding I'm not coming to see you. It's like, where does this come from? And maybe it's as simple as Mom is saying, well, your dad always said that you can, at 13, you could pick where you want to live. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. But it's just, you got to be really careful. You could have a conversation the next time you're physically with your children and say, hey guys,
Right.
you've kind of said, I mean, I'm reluctant to say this, but I guess if I was in your situation and I wanted to potentially go to the next step, I would probably sit them down and say, hey, you guys are giving me some, the way you're acting and stuff like that. Are you guys thinking this? And I had that conversation with my youngest at one point, and it's kind of weird how it completely got spun around. But I mean, you could do that, get the answer, and if they say, yeah, we'd really rather stay here, and we love mommy, we want to still see her, but we don't want to do it all the time, and then you just have to make the decision is it worth it financially and everything to press that button, because I will guarantee you, man, it is going to turn into a complete, I'll say shit show, because and we've been on long enough that I think
it's going to turn into World War II.
Yeah.
Like instantaneously. I know that.
Yeah. And you just have to decide if it's worth it. And, but that's really going to be dependent upon what your kids really want. And you just have to the problem is you have to be very careful that, I mean, even though you got a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old and they seem like they're, more mature, they still are in the middle of this, and they might be saying what they think you want to hear. I have a friend of mine who this happened to him. His kid is now 30 years old, but when she was younger, she's like, hey dad, I want to live with you. And he's like, okay. And he, sharpened the swords, went off to battle and got crucified. Little Susie went back to mommy. They brought her little Susie in around the church and prayed around her that the demon of her father wouldn't take her and condemn her to hell.
Right.
And when they went to court, she recanted everything and said, no, I want to stay with mommy and my brothers and sisters. And so he lost the custody thing. And then while they were there, like, oh, well, since we're here, let's reevaluate child support, and then, raised his child support a huge amount. So you just got to be, you got to be prepared. And kids don't understand. Even a 15-year-old is not going to understand the seriousness of the seriousness of the ramifications of all this. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and I guess the thing that gets me is that the 15-year-old was put on medication because she was feeling suicidal. The 13-year-old just got out of a psychiatric ward because he was expressing suicidal thoughts. He said it was joking, but he was locked up for evaluation for like 3 days because of the stress and everything at home. Mm-hmm. And none of them have said that they want to come live with me. I would just feel really bad if I didn't at least let them know that was a possibility.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. When are you going to get to see? I mean, well, it's getting ready to come up on summer, so they should be coming to see you soon, right?
Yeah, I pick them up next week.
Yeah, so I would say, not the day that you pick them up, but maybe after the first week or something, when you guys are kind of settled a little bit, then have that conversation. And I mean, I understand the situation you're in, man, because it's tough. You're watching your kids struggle. Their lives are spinning out of control. All you want to do is help them, and you feel helpless. And obviously the other parent isn't taking it seriously. I mean, I've had similar issues with not all my kids, but the oldest and the youngest. Not that they were ever committed, but pretty damn close. Same type of issues.
Yeah.
Fortunately, when one of the things happened, my oldest was in therapy. The ex dropped the bomb. It's like, I almost said his name. Our son, Timmy, says he wants to, go on a murderous rampage and hurt himself and hurt everyone else. And and I was like, I freaked out. The ex was like, okay, I told you. Well, gotta go. Bye. I was like, what the? I was like, what? And it was just like, it was just a thing to stab me in the eye. And I mean, I freaked out. I called the kid's therapist, I'm like 911, I need to talk to you. Finally talked to her. She's like, it's not. She's like, I see your son, once a week. Don't worry about it. But it's hard whenever you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, this is happening. So, and these people don't care. I often say that the sad reality of a narcissistic, toxic person is they care about themselves and they don't care about the damage to anyone else. I mean, the reality is that if the kids were with you spinning out of control, you probably would entertain the idea of like, well, okay, guys, what exactly, would it be better if you went, I mean, do you want to live with your mom? I mean, do you need a change? What's the, what can we do to fix this? And if they even said something that you weren't really happy with, you'd probably entertain it. But these people won't, because it's all about them winning. It's really frustrating.
Right.
So was that helpful?
Right. Yeah, it was. Yeah, thank you. That gave me some perspective. The whole, we're just going to undo all the work that we finally, after 2 years, finally.
Yeah. No, I would see how it goes this summer, and have some conversations with them. I mean, maybe. I don't know if you could still do therapy with them. I'm assuming they're seeing therapists. I don't know how you're going to deal with that whenever they're with you. Maybe I don't know.
Oh,
it's a mess.
It's a therapist over the phone that was at a battered women's shelter because the wife did the temporary restraining order and kidnapped the kid. The usual
playbook.
Clearly not doing what she was. Yeah.
All right. Well, hang in there, man.
Well, thank you.
All right. Thanks for calling. All right. Let's see. Let me check to see drop color. Yeah, my little program macros are not working. Gosh darn it. All right, let me look at what's going on in the comments. Okay, so question. All right. Let's see. Let me do a search on. Well, actually, let me look to see what is. Pepe says, "Why are they called Little Timmy?" You know what, man? I make these. It's like Timmy and Susie, Bill and Tom. I have these little names that it means nothing. I just make them up to try to keep it. What do you call it? Stream hang up for anyone else? Oh no, is my stream messing up? But no, it's just the names I use to try to keep it anonymous. That's all. Kate says, stream hang up for anyone else. My data is dragging. I do not know. I do not see. I don't see anybody else complaining about it, and I did not. Oh, did I get a text from Debbie saying? Nope, I got a text from a keyboard company. So, but nope, it looks like everything is okay. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to do a search on the word question in the comments, if I can spell correctly. Pepe says, Duane, or DSD, was your trauma therapist a male or female? She was a female, and she was outstanding. She was phenomenal. I mean, politically, I think we have different views because I follow some of her Twitter stuff, but she's outstanding. I mean, she had a profoundly positive impact on my life. She was incredibly smart. Even to the point where there were times where we would have I think I saw her for 2 or 3 years. Can't remember. But I remember at one point I said something, and I remember what I said. I said, blah, 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 blah. And she goes, oh, like what you said about this situation, yada, yada, yada. And when she said it, I was like, I said that a year ago. She goes, oh yeah, but it seems like it ties together. And I'm like, oh my God, your notes are so good, or your memory is so good that you can tie that together. She was outstanding. Some therapists seem like they're just collecting a check and all they want is you to show up, next week. But she was great. And she was invested in me and trying to help me get through what I was going through. And she was phenomenal, so, and she was female. So good question. Sai says, whoops, come on, hit the button. Question, Duane, what is a good way to quit dwelling on something that has happened to you you have no control over? You have to find a way to make peace with it. If you're having continual panic attacks or are ruminating on it, there are different techniques you can use. I used hypnosis. I can show this real quick. If you go to my webpage, dadsurvivingdivorce.com. You go to the resources. You know, every time I do this when I'm online, it goes forever. This helped me, this rebuilding when your relationship ends, which isn't what you're talking about. But these hypnosis packs did help me on letting it go, basically letting go of the past. You're not really talking about this, but like this letting it go one was a big one for me. And I never thought in a million years that hypnosis would ever work for me. And it did. The other issue is, or the other thing you can do is there's some techniques like EMDR. I always forget what the acronym is. Can anyone pop that into the chat? EMDR is a technique to help you process past memories and trauma to where it doesn't have the effect on you anymore. For me, when I tried that, it was too much at the time. And I couldn't do it. It was just too traumatic. It felt like the floodgates were getting ready to open. And I mean, that was done in a controlled environment, but it was still really tough. The thing is, and this goes for anybody, whenever you're dealing with something and you seem like you're stuck with it, you have to do everything you possibly can to process that and make it to where it doesn't hold on to you anymore. Because as long as you let it hold on to you, you can't move forward. So, and Sai, I'll just pop your question up again, just so it's on the screen. What I would say on this is the first part about this is recognizing that it is holding you back, which I think you are recognizing it. You're like, oh man, I can't get past this. And what I was going to say is I was stuck in that for a couple of years. I knew that I did not want to feel this way. I didn't want to think about this anymore. I didn't want the panic attacks. I didn't want the PTSD associated with it. I wanted it to be done, and it just wasn't, it wasn't working. So anyways, hopefully that was helpful. All right. John says, when a person that is abusive and narcissistic and is verbally abusing you, what do you recommend to not get sucked into a fight? Maybe to be held against you. Well, the first part, John, is to recognize that is exactly what they're trying to do. They're taking their bony little finger and they're going boop, and they're trying to push your buttons to get you to get sucked into a fight. Now, it could be because they just need that narcissistic back and forth. They need you to roll around in the mud with them, rolling around in the mud with a pig. Or it could be that they're trying to push your buttons to get a reaction so that they can use it in court against you. The biggest thing is to recognize that that's happening. And what helped me is when I saw that, I'm like, oh man, she's trying to get me to do this. Well, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to react that way. And it kind of made me feel like I was taking some of my power back. So you got to find a way to where you recognize what the reality is and you are using that to help empower you to make the right decision. The other thing is if you get into the scenario where you are concerned that you do not have the ability to keep your emotions in check, do not be around them. So if they push your buttons and you're getting ready to go to a school function, especially at the end of the year, don't go. You have to work, something else happens, but because you do not want to be in a situation where they could provoke you into doing something that blows up in your face. Now, let's see, John, you also, I don't know if this is an add-on, but what do you recommend? Wait a minute. No, you said that. Oh, okay. You basically said it twice. Okay. So I don't need to hit that anymore. So hopefully that answers your question, John. Let me know. And, okay. So now let me go back. Not easy for me to say, not sorting on comments. All right. All right, now I am scrolling down to the lower part of the comments to see if I can see what people are saying. I think that's is that my what's that whenever they do it's ASMR. ASMR, that's what I'm thinking of. That's my ASMR voice. God, sorry. Sometimes I just entertain myself. So, all right, let's see here. That's great. Can you please answer? What are they trying to get me to answer? Oh, Rama Lama Grandma says, Duane, when will you do another show with Chris Godinez? She is so good. She is. My family found her show. You know, I got to get back into a more reoccurring live show. And Chris Godinez is great. If you guys haven't seen her, it's one of those, you know, it's really weird because I think she's phenomenal. And for whatever reason, I'm going to try to pull her up. YouTube. We need to talk with Chris. So this is who we're talking about. We need to talk with Chris Godinez. Oh, wow. She changed her hair. Oh, I didn't know that. I guess it's been a while. She's a licensed therapist in Arizona. A lot of great information. And I think her channel is really underrated. I don't understand why she hasn't blown up and isn't, you know, way above me, to be honest. She's a great resource. She doesn't mince words. She apparently cut her hair short, which I was not aware of. Let me see if you can. Oh, no.
Hello, Chris Godinez license.
Sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to play your video. I'm not trying to steal your content, I swear. Let's see. I'm just trying to scroll down. Yeah, she's got a tremendous amount of good information. I used to do like once a month, I'd have her on my show when I was doing the daily show, and it was great. And the reason that worked is because my show was before her day started, so we could do it. The hard part is now, since I'm not able to do that or I haven't been able to do that anymore. She, you know, I mean, doing it during the day doesn't work, and the week. I mean, it's a scheduling problem. So, oh no, there was a call and they dropped. Please call back. So, yeah, Chris Godinez is awesome. And let me see if I can find this comment from Rama. Rama? Am I typing this in the right place? Rama Lama. Grandma. That's actually a cool name. Okay, so Rama says, my grandson's mom has more visitation and he's been distressed by it. He's with dad full time. Could a therapist be helpful in contacting the court if biomom is misbehaving? She is a cluster B. See, oh man. Yeah, a therapist could be helpful. The problem is it's really tough for kids because they want to love both parents. And even if a parent does have problems, you know, they expect the parents to hate each other. So it's like if you say, I mean, so your son or even you, if you're on team dad, then they're going to take anything you say as potentially biased, right? So I know a lot of people on this channel do not like therapists and feel very cautious of using them. And there is some danger with it, especially if they do not understand what, you know, cluster B and personality disorders. I think professionals are becoming more aware of it. Then it's less of a risk, but yeah, it could be helpful to have a scenario where you have a professional helping the child understand what they're dealing with and appropriate ways to deal with it, if that makes sense. All right. I think I answered the questions that moderator Debbie had. We wrote about her. We wrote her about the stream. Okay. So the person who was having a problem was, I guess it was on their side. So. Okay, so I'm missing part of what that conversation was. Anyways, so, all right, let me go back. I guess every time I do that sort, it moves me back to the top. So, hey guys, so I see somebody who's wanting me to highlight another channel. I'm very cautious of who I interact with and support and stuff like that. So, if you guys, I don't mind if people put other resources in the channel. I'm not necessarily going to highlight people unless I've I know, like Chris, I deal with Chris. I've talked to her online. I've talked to her offline. We've done a lot of collaborations. I have a lot of respect. I've even done in person when she was in California a few years back. I went and met with her in Santa Barbara, and we actually recorded it wasn't a live stream, but we recorded a collaborative video, which I think I called, I Need to Talk or something like that. So I guess my thing is I'm just very cautious about who I endorse. I know there's a lot of people on these on this topic. I'm starting to be one of the old people on it. I've been on here a long time. And I don't really spend a lot of time watching other people's content on this. So, it makes it a little complicated. Like I've worked with and I've been on Bianca's show. That's why I did mention her thing. And I've had a lot of conversations with her offline. So I think she's got a tremendous voice and is offering some really great information. But anyways, that's all I'm saying. So thanks for mentioning that. I'll put that in the queue to try to check out, but I don't know much about that channel. So, oh, that's funny. All right, I'm looking for other questions. Oh, you know what? The phone call came back, so I'm going to go to that. So, hello, and or let me try that again. Hello, and welcome to the show.
Hey, Duane, it's T Solo.
Hey, T, how's it going, man?
Good, man. I just wanted to say Happy Memorial Day and just wish all the dads out there that's having issues to keep their heads up and just keep pushing through, and it gets better. Just every time there's a holiday, I always think of everybody because it's always something that it's always can be very difficult.
Yeah, it's like one of those things that kind of if you don't have your kids, well, even if you do have your kids, it's a reminder that things have changed, that it's not the way it used to be.
Yeah.
So, but no, man.
I'm lucky enough to have my daughter. This Memorial Day, and I know there's a lot of people who don't, and it's just struggling. I'm 6 years out now, and it's still sometimes I get reminded of it just by holidays and so forth.
Oh, yeah.
And so I know a lot of people struggling this time. It's amazing. I just kind of to point out. I don't know if I've been. It's so funny watching this Johnny Depp trial how much I've been involved in it, not meaning to be. I just sucked into it because a lot of these situations are. I'm not trying to compare myself to Johnny Depp, but the way their interactions with their ex,
yep.
How it was very similar to mine. It brought back a lot of trauma. Actually, I mean, his whole trial brought back a lot of trauma. It's amazing how things bring things back up after you get through it.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I think people, it's interesting because I've gotten some not as many, but a few comments where people are like, "Oh my God, you don't believe Amber?" And the thing is these scenarios are triggering for people, right? So every one of us who has seen our ex act either way, right? And like for you and me, I think we can probably see, we can see behavioral patterns that Amber is doing that probably our exes did. I know I can. So, I mean,
yes,
I'm going to, is that train by yet? That was loud.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's tough, I mean, I think one interesting thing about this trial though, is that it puts in public display stuff that so everyone else who hasn't ever dealt with this, who are seeing this, because they get wrapped into it just because of the celebrity, are able to look at it and maybe they're not being triggered by it because they experience it, but they're looking at it going, well, wait a minute. That voice recording sounds one way, but then she gets on the stand and she does it. She presents it a different way, and that doesn't look real.
Yeah.
And there's no tears, which that looks fake. And then you see her say, "Well, the sky is purple," and then you see 15 people come on and say, "No, the sky is blue," and then she comes back on the stand and says, "No, the sky is purple," and you're like, "Wait a minute, this is like word salad." Or how about the one where it's like, "Oh, well, I pledged $7 million. Well, no, how much did you donate it? Well, I pledged. No, donated. No, I pledged. I mean, it's like, well, it's word salad. So I mean, so anyone who's been through this, has experienced that, right? I mean, has experienced this cognitive dissonance where you're just like, I'm in the twilight zone. And, so we see it and we're like, I can relate to that. But everyone else on the planet who hasn't had that experience is going, what the hell? And I mean, the hope out of this trial is that people will now understand that, oh my God, this is a real thing. Because most of the time when we try to say, hey, this is crap and this is being made up, people are going to be like, well, no, that is not made up. There's truth to it. You're lying, right? They think that you're crazy.
Nobody believes you or nobody understands. I mean, it's like, or to say you're exaggerating or.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I definitely. Another thing happened, and I this is another, when Chris Rock got slapped in the face, everybody was well, how did he hold his composure? And if you watch one of Chris Rock's special, he talks about going through family court, standing there and being the, kind of judged in family court and being treated horribly in family court. And I thought to myself, he can stand, he's used to somebody slapping him in the face. He went to family court.
Well, and I think, it's just, I mean, there's no excuse for what Will did, but I think a lot of people can look at that who've been through it and had their buttons pushed so much to where they're at a razor's edge of losing their mind. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I mean, I think that the crap that Will went through and what his wife, I don't know if it's his ex now, but I mean, he was pushed and it was a double bind, right? No matter what he did, it was a losing proposition. Now he did the worst possible thing. I mean, but anyways, I'm just like, people. And then, so here's the problem, anyone who hasn't been through it will look at that and go, oh my God, what a monster, and not have any, I mean, I guess that would be the question to the community on this right now is how many people think that, that Will is the narcissistic, toxic person and the abuser, and how many people think he's just been pushed to his wit's end and snapped, I mean, the scenario is still bad.
It could be either way.
Yeah.
I kind of related to Chris Rock because he's got a special on where he talks about going to family court and how he was treated, and
Chris Rock is divorced he went through family court as a parent.
Yeah, so he's got a whole
I didn't know
talking
that.
About going through it. Yeah, and so I was laughing when he got, not laughing, but everybody said, how did we stand it? Well, he's went through family court. He's used to being slapped in the face. He had a big, so it's not just, but I guess that was my point. Just saying it's tough and it makes you tougher at the end of it, but it's hard to see these things triggering. But on a better note, happy Memorial Day, Duane, and
thanks,
love
man.
talking to you, and thanks for all you do.
Hey, send me the link of that video where he talks about that. I'd like to look into that. I hadn't heard that story. Would you do that for me?
Okay, I will.
All right, thanks, man. All right, chat with you later, man. Yeah, I would say that a lot of us who've been through this definitely, you get to the point where you just get used to being smacked, and it makes it really tough. God, have we been going for 2 hours? Almost 2 hours. So let's see what else is going on. Let's see. John says, I would love more of these live streams, please. I'm getting so much out of this. I've had so many people say that the Daily Show was a lifesaver, was a lifeline. I really want to try to find a way to do those again. Personal life has gotten in the way, and it's made it a problem. So now basically I am just on an ad hoc schedule. But this is what I will say. What you do need to do is, let me pull this up, is you need to sign up for the text notification. So text on your phone, if you're in the United States, in Canada maybe, DSD Live to 844-598-0012. And if you do that, then a lot of times when I do these out of cycle broadcasts or premiere videos, I will actually send a text message saying, hey, this video is going live, or this live stream is happening right now. And that's a way to get another connection directly to you so that you can stay connected on these. So I really do want to, let me get back over here. Actually, I'll leave it at the bottom of the screen for a minute. I really do want to start doing more of these, and I'm just, it's the scheduling thing is definitely a problem. So let's see, I'm trying to look to see what else is going on. Let me see if moderator Debbie has highlighted any other comment. So I got both of those, so I don't see any other ones. Are you going to talk about moms? What do you mean, Heidi? I do talk about, just as a clarification, this is not a, dad's only channel. My demographics is basically 50-50 man to woman. I'm focused on trying to help people who are dealing in toxic relationship with kids to help them get their lives back and mitigate the damage on it. I think I'm pretty fair on how I talk about stuff. So yeah, just get some clarity on that. And I see Debbie reaching out to Heidi to maybe see what we're talking about there. I think Heidi's new, so that also could be an issue to where, and I understand how when a lot of times when people find this channel, they're at a really tough spot. And it's very triggering. Excuse me. And I know when I first was looking at information and I would see people, be more biased towards, only talking about moms. I'm like, hey, dads go through this too. So I try to be very down the middle on that one. And I think it's important because it's too easy. One of the reasons why I like to do that is because I think it's too easy for people to get into the camp of all women are evil or all men are evil. And they're not. Yeah, there's some bad apples on both sides, but you don't want to go down the dark path of that because it's just not healthy, Okay. Man, I am starting to get hot. I definitely need to turn my air on. Hakuna says, DSD welcomes everybody and helps to the road to recovery. I try. Let's see. Okay. All right, so I'm looking to see what other comments are going on. No. DSD, no. Okay, I'm not entirely sure what you're saying, so I apologize for that. All right, so I'm scrolling up. Let's see. See, the hard part is when I roll up, I miss part of the start of the conversations. All right, so I see another question. I'll go to that one. There it goes. Question DSD, it's interesting that people don't want to see that women can be abusers and refuse to see it. I think that the 6 years, especially the Me Too movement and drama, is shining a light on that. Oh, I'm not sure if you're saying this, Kevin, but what I will say is this whole, the people that fake the Me Too thing have like this whole Amber Heard thing. I mean, unless if the trial comes out that, she's telling the truth, or they say she's telling the truth, which I would be hard to see that. It's hurt anybody who's really dealing with this. I mean, yeah, there are some people who have been abused, and the awareness of this and giving them a voice to be able to speak out is outstanding. But at the same time, these people who are like, oh, well, I'll just jump on this bandwagon for my own personal gain is horrible. I think what's happened is horrible. So bring toxic behavior to the roof. 2 years. See, Heidi, I don't understand what you're saying. I mean, I see you've been watching for 2 years. Well, I tell you what, Heidi, put it in a question form. Because I don't really understand. And you know what? Maybe 10 minutes after this stream's over, I'll look at your comments. I'll go, oh, that's what it means. But I'm not seeing it. I'm missing it. So I apologize. So, let's see. Let us see here. All right. I am scrolling up. Oh, okay. Rama said, thanks for answering my question. Well, I'm glad that was helpful. Kate says, I feel like I could help strangers with the same issues I deal with and powerless to be effective with the same issues personally. You know what, guys? One of the things I think is the benefit of the awareness of this issue is how we're pushing the information out and how you could be the advocate that somebody else that maybe you didn't have, right? And somebody personally that you can talk to, I think is hugely powerful. So, I mean, I in the back of my mind, I always hope that a positive side effect of this channel is that you, the listener, might be that person that is there for your neighbor or someone else that you know who can help guide them, to give them the answers, to give them the validation of their experience, and then help them either directly with the techniques on how to deal with it, or to say, hey, look, you know what? You need to read this book, or you need to go watch this YouTube channel, or you need to, listen to this podcast, because that getting the information out, especially early on to people, so they know how to effectively deal with these scenarios it's a game changer. All right. So I'm going to scroll down because I see new comments popping up. I need help. Okay. So it looks like Heidi's trying to ask a question. So I will wait until that pops up. All right. Let's see. All right, I did that one already. And so I'm scrolling up, and yeah, it's hard to try to quickly read through the comments and figure out questions and stuff, and try to figure out when people are answering stuff. All right, so because every time I scroll up, I have to scroll back up. So, all right. Okay, so hold on, let me scroll down here. Let's see. Kevin says, DSD, the 6 past years has been shining on narcissistic abuse, especially with the Me Too movement. Ann Sorkin, AK, I don't know who that is. Twinder Swindler. Oh, I remember hearing about that. Oh, Gabby Petito, a lot more cases. Yeah, it's real. And see, that's the thing, I mean, the awareness on this needs to be out there more. But the problem is then it makes it also more confusing, because then it's like, well, if someone comes out and says something, are they lying? Are they running the smear campaign? I mean, think about it. If you look at the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, I mean, she said, well, he's running a smear campaign. He's the abuser. The words she's saying is what everyone in this community talks about dealing with. Somebody who's using a smear campaign, someone who's trying to destroy their credibility, so I can understand how somebody who somehow has an ex that maybe is super charming, who is able, has all the flying monkeys, might look at it and say, Johnny's the abusive one, and Amber was the one that was pushed to her breaking point. And I mean, but to me, I read it differently, right? All right. So So Heidi says, I'm scared. I must file paperwork, and my child was abducted. I fear for my life and my kiddo. I've done it all. I'm 12 years post-decree. Please explain how I go about this. All right. So if your kid was abducted, then you have to go to family court and basically try to get the custody resolved. The problem is, if you're in a scenario where parental alienation has happened and the kid is completely sided with the other parent and is saying, I don't want to do anything, I don't want to be around you or whatever, your first thing that you have to do, excuse me, the first thing you have to do is get some reoccurring time with your kid to try to undo that. That's your number one thing. And I mean, the way you go about that, I mean, I need more details, but I don't necessarily, you don't have to share it all online, but now I see what you're saying. You have to start small and work on that issue. Now, if you have some type of connection, if you get to, I don't know if you get to, I'm assuming that you're saying that your kid has been abducted. So I'm assuming you haven't seen your child. And if you're saying you fear for your life, it's like, it depends on the details, right? I mean, if there's been threats of violence made against you, then the appropriate response would be a restraining order or a protective order. If your kid is, if your kid's abducted and there's a court order and they've violated it, then there's a process to go through that. So it just really depends on it depends on the details. The first thing I would say is talk with an attorney so that you can share the intimate details of your situation and get legal advice on what the appropriate course of action is. And then you're just going to have to start slow. For me, if I was in your scenario, my primary focus would be to have some reoccurring connection with my child. Whether that, personal one-on-one would be the goal, and then to extend that to make it more time as possible. But if there's nothing, then I would be wanting virtual video, FaceTime, telephone calls. Then I'd be wanting one-on-one, whether it's just a few hours or a day or whatever it is, and then keep increasing that. And then the focus on that is strengthening the relationship with the child so that they know, excuse me, that you're there. And that's the way I would deal with that scenario going up. So, Heidi, what you could do is you could send me an email with a little bit more detail if you feel comfortable with that. And then I can try to provide some more detail through reunification done. Well, again, it depends. If you say reunification, you did reunification therapy, and if you've gone through that and the kid has rejected you, then we are good, but she is not. We are good, but she is not. It's bad. Yeah, see, I don't understand. Oh, thanks, Kate. Kate says, thank you, DST. You have a way of processing information in an effective, helpful manner. Well, I really try. And I know how hard it is to get so wrapped up in this was not easy for me. I made lots of mistakes. The information or the advice I was just giving Heidi, that's come from me making mistakes that didn't work, where I tried certain things and I made it worse instead of better. And then I had to step back, change, and re-engage. And every time you make a mistake, it makes it harder to undo it with the kids. So like Heidi, if you did reunification therapy and it didn't work, then, if I was you in that situation, what I would do is try it again. And I would be focusing on, okay, little Timmy, you give them the opportunity that they get to speak, and you don't make excuses. The biggest mistake that most of us do is when little Timmy says, you did this, Mom, or you did that, Dad, and we get defensive and we start trying to explain it. Now, obviously the kid doesn't understand the context and they don't understand the adult issues. But the second that we don't even listen to their concern, however much we disagree with it, hurts our position. When little Timmy says, you did this, Dad, and I go, well, little Timmy, let me tell you what's going on, and this is what your mom did, and this is why I did that. Well, that's not effective. What little Timmy hears is that, well, Dad doesn't care what I say. He's not going to listen to me, just like in my scenario, just like Mommy says he won't. And all I do in that scenario is I contribute to the parental alienation that's happening. I'm an active participant in it. And I fell into that trap. I absolutely fell into that trap. And when I realized that I was going down the pit of hell, I had to stop, I had to back up, and I had to try different things. And one of the things I started trying to do is like, okay, I'm going to have to sit here and I'm going to have to let my kids basically jab me in the eye and take it to let them speak and to let them be to let them feel heard, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And once you do that, and if the kid's like, oh, okay, daddy listened to me. He didn't get angry. He didn't start yelling at me. He didn't have a conniption fit like I used to do. And then I started rebuilding that relationship. Now, I will tell you that was not an overnight thing. That took a significant amount of time and repetition and a lot of hurt feelings on my part where the kids were just like, you suck, Dad, basically. And I would just have to just say, okay, take the hit. This is a battle. I don't want to try to win this battle and lose the war. So I don't know. Hopefully that was helpful. Oh, I need to up your food. Where is that? There it is. Up your food game says, hey mate, how was the holiday weekend away? Happy Memorial Day all. I was talking with Up Your Food Game on, was it Friday when I was driving out? So like I mentioned earlier, I drove out to Mammoth Mountain and drove around out in the back country and drove through little streams and over water passes. And okay, there was only 2, but it was cool. Almost got stuck by a fallen tree. The problem is the wind was really blowing bad. And so I only spent one night out there. Then I came back late the next day. Still a great trip though. I got I drove through a bunch of trails out in that area and it was pretty awesome. So if anyone's been in the Mammoth area, say so in the comments. I'd like to know who has experienced the beauty of that area. Let me go back. And thanks so much for the support. Up Your Food Game. I really appreciate that. Hakuna says, if the other parent doesn't promote, then reunification is non-productive. Parental alienation is a nightmare. Yeah, it is. But I'll say Miami Babe, I don't know if she's still on. They used, I think she said she used reunification therapy and it helped their scenario, not with all the kids, but it was helpful. See, the problem with this stuff is nothing is 100% guaranteed and you don't know what you're going to get. So sometimes going to a professional can be the best thing you ever do. Like in my scenario, it really helped me. Or like other people, they go and the person makes it worse. It's really tough. It's really tough. It's really tough. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. He says, so Heidi says she is not allowed to speak. We have to speak in decord to keep her safe. We have to speak in, I don't understand what that means. Decord. Record? No. Yeah, I'm not sure. Sorry. Okay. All right. Are we coming up? Oh, we're just past 2 hours. So I think I'll hang out for just a couple more moments before we shut this down. So I've been going for a little over 2 hours. If I would have grabbed some photos of, did I do that? I wonder, hold on. Let me see if I took any pictures on my, oh, that's pretty awesome. You know what? Here, let me try this. I'm going to send this over to my computer. I'm going to see if I can show this to you guys. Come on. No waiting. Just send it. It's not sending. Okay. Oh, there it goes. I heard something happening. Sending. It says it's sending now. Receiving. All right. I'm going to see if I can show you guys. Discord. Oh, she means Discord. Oh, okay. Okay. Duh. That makes sense. Thank you, Alex. Discord. Okay. No, see, the good thing about that, Heidi, is as long as you have a way to have communications with her, that's a good thing. I guess my question for you on that would be, how is, when you have those conversations, are they okay? Or is she really, is she in turmoil? What's going on there? And I am going, okay, so I'm going to try to open this. Okay, let's see. What if I go over here and I go, okay, that's not working. Is it this one? Would that one work? All right, so hopefully I can, I'm going to see if let's see. What if I go like this? I don't know if this is going to work. And then I'm going to grab this and I'm going to try to do that one. Well, that didn't work. Hold on, I'm trying to line this up better. And, oh, that didn't work. God. Holy cow, guys, I am having technical difficulties. Stand by one. All right, let's go like this again. I'll go like this. We'll do just keynote, and then I'll hit play. And then so this is where I was this weekend. If I remember correctly, I was up near Inyo Kern Crater, our Inyo Crater Trail. Isn't that pretty, though? That would be me trying to walk over something, or I think. And God, I enjoyed that trip. That's me dwelling for a few seconds to have a video. So let me pause this. All right. Abuse. Alrighty. Miami Babe said reunification helped. My therapist, I won't say the name, from the reunification center in Jacksonville, Florida. They take clients from anywhere as coach since it's not therapy recognized. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Miami Babe said that they had success with that, and it's partial success, right? Because they have, I think, 3 kids. One's completely alienated. One's with them right now, and I think, is it 3? I can't remember if it's 3. It's hard for me to keep everyone's story in check. All right. Okay, let's see. All righty. Wayne says, thank you, Duane. Coming up on 1 year of final divorce. Your channel has been a big help. Kept me out of a lot of hot water. Keep up the great work. Love the other channel too. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for being a subscriber on both. I'm still not entirely sure if I have enough content or enough to make a video out of my trip the other day. I haven't downloaded all the video that I took. I know I didn't record as much as I would have liked, but it was nice to get out. Alrighty, guys, I think that's about a good stopping point. So on that, let me hit the right button. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me for the last couple hours. I hope that you appreciated the conversation and the calls that we had. I do want to say thank you for the channel members who so gracefully have clicked the join button and help keep this channel going. I really appreciate it, and your support means a lot to me. I really appreciate it.